Alright, stage 2 has just concluded. I was streaming, watching live the collapse, the utter, just despair of that NIP game against 3D Max. They don't make it out. I end up actually failing stage 2. I needed all 3 of my games to go my way on that final 2-2 matchup. I needed all 3 to go a specific direction. None of them came through. Did have some success in terms of predicting general team success. You know, on the double swing, I got 2 out of 4, but it's just not good enough, is it? It's just not good enough. The Pickems are dead. No more Diamond Coin. Not that I've ever been particularly bothered about that. I'm doing this mostly out of interest and for the viewers. Let's get into the stage 3 stuff. Here we go. Here it is. I mean, this was stage 2. Yeah. 1 here, 1 there. I had Na'Vi in the wrong spot. I had 3D Max in the wrong spot. I had Liquid in the wrong spot. Not much more to be done. I didn't have phase going through at all. I had some interesting logic for that in my stage 2 video. I do look back on my stage 2 video and go, no phase anywhere is interesting, but hey, I guess I was a bit down after the stage 1 showing. But let's talk about this stage 3. I'm not going to be as in-depth as I was during stage 1. I'm also not going to be quite as brief as I was on my Twitter video for stage 2. Let's talk about this. Firstly, teams I think are a lock to be going through to the next stage, to be going to playoffs. Obviously, FaZe, Vitality, Falcons. I actually feel quite good about this, starting off my video with my 3-0 pick of Falcons. They looked really good last time that we watched them. They were this close to actually making something happen against the likes of Furia. I think this Falcons side should be destined for good things at this major. Now, of course, they do have Nico, which means that everyone's going to assume they're not going to go deep. But the last event they played, they beat Spirit, Passion UA, Vitality all 2-0, then lost to Furia 3-1. At Chengdu the event before, they beat Spirit, Tyloo, and Astralis 2-0 before losing to Furia 2-0, and then beat Mouse in a third place to start. So if you just go through their history of this season, they've been beating all the beatable teams in the big best of threes in groups. They've actually been able to defeat the top teams in the world. I think Falcons have to be a lock for 3-0. My other 3-0 team, I am going to go a little bit off script. I would have loved to have put Furia or Vitality in the other 3-0 slot. I just think they're more likely to get upset. Furia, whilst they are fantastically clutch in the big games, in the finals, they have dropped games and series here and there earlier on in events. They dropped maps to Vitality and Pain at Blast Rivals. They dropped a series to Maus at Chengdu. They are mortal when it comes to group stages. It's just once you get them in that best of 5, you get them in that big stage, the big grand final, the bright lights, the pressure, they just take it over the line. So I'm going to go with actually Spirit as my other 3-0 team. Again, my philosophy with 3-0 picks, it's a lot about firepower, depth of, dangerous pieces, and they've got them all across the board. They've also, been somewhat getting better. I mean, they're in no great rush, it seems, to actually be good, but they've been slowly getting better. So I think there's a bit of a risk here with Spirit that I think is worth taking, that they are going to overperform expectations, overperform their most recent results, and actually deliver something fairly competitive at this major, despite recent failings. They've only lost series really recently to FaZe at Pro League, which was a big shock, Falcons and Mongols at Chengdu, Falcons and Vitality at Blast Rivals, Furia and G2 at Blast London. They've lost to legit teams. They're usually able to take care of business. I think their opening matchup for this is going to be Liquid. That's a best of 1. I expect them to be able to win. I am going to now start running the major sims, though. I didn't do that in stage 2. I think it slightly bit me in the arse. I want to see who's playing who to start off. So, stage 3. Furia are playing Na'Vi to open things up. Talk about a losable BO1, just in terms of ruining your 3-0s. Vitality are playing FaZe Clan. Again, same sort of conversation. Falcons are playing Bait. Mongols are playing Imperial. Maus are playing Parivision. Spirit are playing Liquid. G2 are playing Passion. And Pain are playing 3D Max. In terms of 0-3 picks, just looking at those initial matchups, I think Liquid have to be a valid pick. There's a team that could go 0-3. That has to be a very risky side to be betting on. So I'm going to start things off with that. I'm going to take Liquid and Imperials, my 0-3s, straight out of the gate. Now, Imperial playing the Mongols, that's a winnable game given Mongols' current situation. But I think as long as they lose that opening best of 1, I'm pretty locked in on them losing. I mean, they go down into an 0-1. If just the favourites win every single game, they'd play Parivision. I much prefer Parivision right now. They then play, again, if all the rest of the games are left untouched, they would play 3D Max in a best of 3. Look, that's not happening. I cannot have that kind of belief in Imperial. We've watched them play some pretty horrific CS and struggle through two stages so far. I think that'd be one ride too many. They're just not making it through that best of three. So yeah, Imperial, my other 0-3 pick. I think them and Liquid have a better chance of upsetting the odds in that sense. They do have a bait matchup that's winnable in the lower bracket, the 0-1 game, just according to this sim. But I feel like they've just not really played convincingly over the course of the two stages so far. They've just managed to eke it out with matchups and with some individual performances, like that ultimate performance to win them the game against... Who was it? Against Astralis. It's just kind of out of this world. Not what we expect to see. So I'm happy to put these teams down here. The next question, the difficult question, is how many of the big dogs do I put through 3-1-3-2? I think undeniable are the two top teams of the year. The team that dominated the first season without compare, and the team that have been pretty much, the number one team in the second season. Although it's fair to say they've not been as dominant as Vitality. I think they just have to be considered as locks to go through. The other team that have been undeniable this season, hell, this year, Maus. Since Brolin's come in, they basically haven't missed top 4 at any event. I don't see why this one would be any different. I'm going to take Maus to go through 3-1-3-2. Now to start splitting hairs. Mongols, G2, Pain, Na'Vi, FaZe, Bait, Parivision. Passion UA, I actually think are a pretty decent pick to go 0-3. I think the matchup actually has them facing Liquid, the one I've currently run, in an 0-2 game. That's entirely possible. Like, if you put Parivision 0-3 instead of Liquid, I understand entirely. You'd be well within your rights. But let's look. We only have 3 slots left, and I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4 genuinely terrifying sides for me. Like, 4 teams I do not want to face in this bracket. Like, in this system at all. I do not want to face these guys. So let me just fill out my results as I see them happening. I see Spirit. Whoa. Spirit and Falcons play each other in my fucking 1-0 games just based on these games. If I predict at least one upset out of Furia and FaZe Clan, Furia, Na'Vi, and Vitality FaZe Clan, does it switch up? It does. Okay, so let's say the Na'Vi upset happens. They've been looking really sharp. They've been looking really dangerous. Falcons go to the 3-0 to the 2-0 games. Spirit beat Maus. They would face Vitality and Mongols. Mongols would beat G2. Okay, I don't know. Things are looking sketchy as soon as you start putting things in the sim. But again, one thing changes, everything changes. So I can't put too much stock in these, beyond a certain point. But just looking at the kind of matches that a team of the ilk of Na'Vi would have to get through coming from this lower section. A 1-0 game against Vitality, losable. Then play a team like a Parivision. They'd have a decent seed going into 1-1 games. I think that takes them to 2-1. Facing the likes of G2s, the Furias. I can see Na'Vi eking a 3-2, but they'd have to come into a final best of 3 against a team like FaZe Clan. That's just tough. That is just tough. Currently, my sim is telling me Na'Vi, Parivision, Maus is the most likely 3 there, but FaZe Clan would have to lose to Na'Vi in that game. Look, it's going to be tough. Someone's going to get wrecked. You can't just put everyone through. There's only 8 spots, and we've talked about this for a while now. There are 10 teams at least who want to be making major playoffs. The way 3D Max played just now, the way 3D Max have played in the past in terms of their peak powers, they should be expecting to be in the playoffs. I don't think they will be able to make it, though. I see them avoiding 0-3. But I'm seeing them as a team that eliminates someone in the 0-2 pool and then just loses to one of the better teams, like a FaZe Clan. But I think Na'Vi, the game they showed us in Stage 2, was exciting. They looked up for it, they looked locked in, and they were executing at a really high level. I'm going to put Na'Vi through. Finally, last 2 slots. I think James has just been shockingly consistent, clutch, undeniable, really. So I'm going to put James Parivision through. In my final slot, I've got to pick between some tough teams. Let's just go on individual prowess. I think I kind of have to at some point. Just believe in the individual ability of some of these players. I'm going to take FaZe. I made the mistake of not taking them for Stage 2. I made, I didn't really underestimate them. I knew roughly what they were. I just didn't expect the level we got out of Jacob. Everything seemed to be working with Twists and Frozen and their ability to find frags, and those frags actually turning into 1 rounds, which is the key differentiator. Like, finding frags is one thing, but actually winning the rounds off the back of it is quite important as well. Those are my picks. I'm pretty happy with this pick. Some people are going to be questioning the Spirit thing. The Spirit pick in 3-0 might be the biggest cock-up I make. That might be the thing that really gets me clowned a bit. That's okay. I'm going to try it. I'm loving the fact that no one in my friends list has made it to 5. Great job, lads. I'm glad to see we're all just as mentally deficient as each other. Save that pick. Let's hope it works out. But all right, leave a comment telling me your thoughts, your Pickems. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.